Welcome back to some more Deathgate. When we last left off, we saved a little dwarven girl from getting the shit stomped out of her by giants in the forest. She has since left to ask the elders if we can have the golden hammer, so we can start this unification process. We're just waiting for her return. Time passes, the door in the stump swings open, and out steps the dwarf girl, a little out of breath and dirtier for the trip.
It's just as I thought. The elders agree that I should fulfill my obligation, but they cannot open the vault unless we are at war. Have you thought of anything else you want?
I don't know about anything else. Perhaps we should talk a bit more.
Fine with me.
Let me introduce you to my companions.
The small dwarf greets your companions. The prince bows graciously. The dwarf looks a little reserved, perhaps wondering if he's making fun of her height. She says a few words, and the prince appears to be taken aback by the dwarf's gruff and direct comments. But they speak a bit more, and soon both are laughing and enjoying each other's company. The dwarf girl soon turns to the princess, and after the initial pleasantries, the princess lapses into a coughing fit.
That's a nasty cough you've got there, princess. But I know a surefire remedy. It only requires 4 ingredients, and I've got one of them with me. Let's see. You'll need some dead man's friend, the meat from a zuzu nut, the roots of the plith plant, and the dried herbs that I carry. They're not rare. You should be able to find them anywhere. The plith have pink flowers. If you see those, just pull up the whole plant. You should get the roots along with everything else.
I got those.
What the heck is Dead Man's Friend?
It's a fungus, a toadstool that tends to grow under carrion, dead bodies. That's why it's known as Dead Man's Friend.
Got those.
Can you tell me about the zuzu nut?
The nut is named after the zuzu, a shy animal that survives on a diet of just the meat of the nut. It's considered a delicacy, and it's very hard to come by. The nut's shell is incredibly thick. It's almost impossible to open. The zuzu has to be very strong just to crack them. I think you'll find a grove of the nuts off to the west. Good luck in getting at the meat.
Can I have those herbs?
Sure, I've got them here somewhere.
She paws through her dusty garments and emerges holding a handful of dried herbs. Smiling, she hands them over to you.
You think that this favor would make us even?
You think a simple cough remedy is worth my life? I owe you far more than that. You keep thinking about what you need. This is just being friendly.
What are you supposed to do with all of these things?
Just feed them to her. It all ends up in the same place. After she's eaten them all, she should have shaken off that nasty cough.
Can we talk about some other things?
Sure.
Where do you live?
Why, right here. Well, under here, anyhow. We dwarves prefer to live underground. We have a network of tunnels that run for miles in all directions.
Could we go back to the subject of the golden hammer again?
What do you need to know about it?
This is getting us nowhere. The only thing I need is the golden hammer. Could you go try again to get it?
Nothing's going to change. But if it will make you happy, I'll go back in and rack my brains. I'll try everything, and I won't come back out until I've got it. Don't get your hopes up.
Very well. If you do somehow get the hammer, meet me at the Shining City. I need you to do something with it there.
The dwarf girl slips back into the hollow stump and closes the door behind her. We'll give this stuff to the princess. The princess accepts the pink plant, gobbles it down with the mushrooms and the herbs and all that shit. She breathes deeply, but her lungs are clear. Her cough has disappeared. All right. Let us save and talk to the princess.
Greetings, my friend.
Would you mind doing me a favor?
A favor? Certainly. What is it?
Start jamming out that tune.
Could you start playing the tune from that book I gave you?
Very well. Just tell me when to stop.
Dun, 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 dun. The further you move into the forest, the darker it becomes. You see more titans scattered throughout the trees. The forest is lousy with titans. There are almost as many of the giants as there are trees. Titans have gathered around one tree here. High in its branches you see something made of crystal, clearly the focus of the titan's attention. It's out of reach, nestled high in the branches of the dead tree.
Yes, my friend? What can I do for you?
Could you climb the tree and get that crystal?
All right, I'll be back in a moment.
Alright, elephant friend. Climbing like a fucking monkey. The prince tiptoes around the unnaturally still giants, vaults up the tree, grabs the crystal fragment. He climbs part of the way down, looks around nervously, and drops heavily to the ground. He runs up and delivers the crystal to you, sweating and puffing. Let's get the hell out of here. Exiting the forest, you notice a deep rumbling behind you. You realize that the titans further in are probably out of range of the flute's melody. They've fallen out of thrall, notice that their precious relic has been stolen, and started to rampage directly toward it, and not coincidentally, you.
They're coming and they'll be here before you know it. The flute's no good anymore. When they find us with the relic, they'll tear us apart.
The relic! That's what they're really after! We've got to get rid of it!
I'm not getting rid of nothing, you punk. Copying the movement of the young dwarf, you pull at the twisting branch sticking out of the stump. A door pops open. Inside you see a narrow tunnel that leads straight down. You toss the crystal fragment into the hollow stump. You hear it bump against the side as it falls deep into the dwarven caves below. The titans come crashing through the forest, no longer concerned about what they crush in their path. They totally ignore you and their companions and focus on the stump in the middle of the clearing. After a couple of attempts, they slowly begin to realize that even the smallest of their number is not ever going to be able to fit inside the dwarven tunnel. Although this fact might have stopped someone even slightly smarter, the titans aren't even slow. With bare hands, they begin to excavate their own tunnel. Dwarf curses and battle cries float up from the horde. Oh shit. Look at that big dookie head. You stand outside the huge Sartan edifice. A wall surrounds it. There are no obvious doors, only the alcove to the south.
I was standing there in the tunnels arguing with an elder about opening up the vault when the crystal gem dropped from above right on the elder's head. Before I could even laugh, I heard the pounding of the giants trying to get inside the tunnel. The elder went crazy. He sounded the alarm and opened the vault right then and there. I grabbed both the crystal gem and the golden hammer and took a back tunnel here. I guessed that I could get rid of my obligation to you and lead the giants back to their home. Here's the hammer you wanted. I'm glad to have been able to repay you. Now all we have to do is wait for the giants to come home. They'll arrive, the doors will open, and everyone will be happy. I hope.
As hard as she tries, she can't conceal her fear at the pounding footsteps that get closer with every passing moment. You direct the three youngsters to put their respective symbols into the recesses on the citadel door. None of them grasp your meaning entirely, but you assure that all will be made clear shortly. When the last symbol is slid into the place, the door swings inward, revealing a gleaming city, an ancient city of the Sartan. The Titans arrive, legs pumping, but when they come upon the gaping doors of the citadel, they lose all interest in the crystal fragment. Instead, they file into the city and take positions in front of massive machines, as if they knew what they were doing.
There's room enough for all of the races here. If we could live together, we could do it better than ever.
It seems that they do. A few minutes of tinkering and button pressing pass before the city comes to life. Lights flare and the entire citadel begins to hum pleasantly. The Mensch wander in, and their eyes wide with wonder. Thinking about your quest, you regain the crystal fragment from the distracted dwarf. The Mensch go on, but something else has attracted your attention. An archway, only a few dozen feet inside the citadel, is decorated by the Fire Seal Peace. A flare just inside the Citadel's gate catches your eye. You see Zifnab coughing and ineffectually brushing soot from his robes. He looks up, sees you as well, and smiles.
Hello, my boy! I knew you could do it! They put their symbols into the face of a mysterious building without even knowing why. Quite an achievement if you ask me. That shows leadership qualities. You've inspired loyalty in these children. They trust you. Does your heart good to see them together, doesn't it? Too bad it's only for a little while, It's a good thing they don't know that you're just scouting for your lord, that soon he will destroy these children's lives for his dreams of conquest. That would just ruin their day. Better keep this between you and me if you know what I mean. Don't worry, Haplo, I won't interfere in your mission. In fact, I have a present for you. I tried to take up a collection around the office, but no one there seems to like you very much. I wasn't going to say anything, but they all think you're on the side of evil. That doesn't make you very popular. Most of their ideas of a going-away present took the form of a punch in the mouth. I stuck up for you, though. He's not a mindless puppet, I said. He has very good reasons for wanting to destroy everything. I'm sure he's thought this whole thing through. They seemed a little doubtful, but I know my old buddy Haplo. You'll come through in the end. Anyway, since no one chipped in, I got you this. It's a genuine 100% natural, roughly spherical, all-purpose evil combating device. Really? I know you're thinking, Zifnab, how can this obviously rare and well-crafted document holder also combat evil? Well, fear not. This particular paperweight is magic. That's right. As the stone approaches true evil, it will glow. Soon, you will encounter an evil greater than any you've ever known, even in the labyrinth. And it has magic. Horrible, powerful, destructive. Much different than the magic that we command. The rock will react to this magic. The closer you get, the brighter it will glow. When you are in its very presence, crush the rock. You'll know the right time.
What will happen when I crush it?
I don't know, but I'm sure that it will be impressive. And just in case it doesn't work, use the backup plan. Hurl that sucker. I find that a nice solid puck upside the head always slows evil down. Now you're thinking, how can he afford to give this away? Well, that's very astute of you, Haplo. I can't afford it. Of course, I'm taking a loss on this transaction, but when your friends start asking you, where'd you get that great evil combater? You tell them you got it from old Zifnab, and soon they're telling their friends, and they're telling their friends. Eventually, everyone has a Zifnab special. Take Priam's seal piece, Haplo. Go back to your lord, but remember what you've seen here. Remember these people. Consider carefully exactly what you are doing and why.
He turns and exits the citadel. By the time you reach the doorway to follow, he has disappeared. Alright. We have the fire seal piece. Let's do a score check. 670 points out of 1,500, almost halfway home. Will Game Holder be able to amass all 1,500 points? I do not know. We'll have to wait and find out. For now, let's return to the Nexus. You take the dragon ship back to the Death Gate and return to the Nexus. Holy shit, alright! There is old Czar. You hand over the fire seal piece and quickly recount your experience on Priam. Zar listens closely to your description of Zifnab and the Titans, obviously troubled by both encounters.
Excellent, my son. You exceed even my best expectations. Not only did you recover Priam's seal piece, but you have discovered a living Sartan. I doubt that he is alone, as he claims, and the addition of these Titans to his forces means that he is someone to be reckoned with. I will have to adjust my plans to compensate. We might have to destroy this citadel to be sure of the giant's destruction. It is a shame you couldn't bring Zifnab back with you for further questioning. You have the crystal fragment of the world seal. Use that to place the naming rune of Abarrach upon your steering stone, and then leave as soon as you can. Events are occurring at a fast pace. If even one Sartan knows you exist, we must assume they all do. But we need information. I must know what the other realms are like, where the Sartan's forces are, and what they number. And I need those seal pieces. Good luck, my son.
Zifnab seemed mad, but he genuinely cared about the mensch there. He had a plan to make their lives better.
Who knows how far gone that Sartan was? Living in solitude with those mensch would have driven anyone insane. No wonder he was obsessed with them. Hopefully, when the world is reformed and we destroy the citadel, he'll disappear along with it.
What about Zifnab's dragon? Do you consider him a threat?
If I believed in him, I would. Don't take this personally, my son, but dragons are fairy tales, legends, nothing more. This Zifnab played on your gullibility. I've read that the Sartan used to command the art of illusion. He must have created the dragon for your benefit, to keep you from killing him. It worked, didn't it?
If you destroy the citadel, won't that kill the mensch that have moved inside?
Are you questioning my tactics? Don't you understand that the threat represented by the Titans far outweighs the importance of the lives of a few mensch? Don't get personally involved with them, Haplo. This is war. There are always sacrifices.
Can we talk about some of the subjects you touched on earlier?
Of course. What do you want to know?
Why you're such a dick?
That's enough for right now. I'd like to talk to you later if you don't mind.
Very well. I'll be here.
Something is amiss. Starting to think Zar does not have the best intentions for the good of the whole, if you will. Alright, time to cast magic on the crystal fragment. Rune transfer, of course. We will be traveling to the realm of stone. Abarrach. You call on the power of the steering stone to take you through the Death Gate and into Abarrach, world of stone. Ship flies from the Death Gate into a river of lava. Walls of dark rock enclose you in a giant cavern so large that it actually houses the city carved from the stone. You dock the ship a small distance away. Good time to save our game. Here we are. Finally landed. Your ship floats in a river of lava alongside a stone embankment. In the distance you see a dark city. Here a hulking figure shuffles from dried up pond to a field, long dead. Behind him, a cave opens into a cavern wall. Beyond the lava river you see a city in the distance. The hulking corpse just stares at you.
That's a nice bucket. Would you give it to me?
The corpse looks at the bucket for a moment and then silently hands it to you. Okay. Oh, this shallow cave ends in an unnatural wall covered by carved dwarven symbols. A coiled snake studies you. Let's fill our bucket with rocks here. Don't think we want to mess with that snake quite yet. Hello, Joffrey. You stand in the foyer of a small house. Stairs lead up to another level. Double doors are set in the east wall.
The smallest people made their home in caves and caverns all their own. They'll only come outside to play when all the arrows point the way. Which way, you ask?
The cramped
Where are
nursery
they
holds a
bound?
few items, an empty crib, a tiny table, and a rocking chair occupied by an old woman.
Don't look too close, they'll run away. Unless the arrows point the way.
I'm stealing the bitch's tea set. Because the butler looks like he needs something to do. You hand the tea set to the dead butler. He accepts it gravely and looks over at the double doors. Then he just waits.
How may I be of assistance, sir?
The decaying butler attempts to draw himself up, but the weight of the chain around his waist keeps him slumped over.
Now that you have the tea, what are you waiting for? Open the door and give it to your master.
Yes, I do have the tea, but I must wait until the appointed time until I open the door. Otherwise, I might interrupt a vital experiment. That would be disastrous for Balthazar's research, and perhaps for myself as well.
What time is tea served?
The 4th hour. I'll recognize it when the tower clock strikes 4 bells. He expects his tea at the same time every day.
Who are you?
My name is Aramas. I serve Balthazar, the master of the house. His work is very important and cannot be disturbed, so he retains me and a few other servants to handle the domestic work.
Who else does Balthazar retain to serve him?
In addition to myself, Balthazar employs a nanny who cares for the master's young children, and a housekeeper who does the cooking as well.
There's a housekeeper? Isn't it kind of dirty around here? I'd say this housekeeper is slacking off.
The house is a little dusty, but I'm sure she'll get on the job soon.
Who is Balthazar?
Balthazar is the personal necromancer to the king of Khan Telest. He's one of the most celebrated sorcerers in the city.
What important work is he doing?
He does what all necromancers do. He resurrects and sustains the dead so that they can serve the living. But he also spends much of his time researching new magic arts. It's not a very popular activity among other necromancers. In fact, it used to be a crime. But as my master was mentor to most of the others, and because he is a man of power and influence, his research isn't questioned. Not that Balthazar would care in any case.
What magic arts is he researching?
What do I look like? A necromancer? I'm just his personal servant. I don't pry into his work. It could be hazardous to my health.
Why can't he be disturbed?
An interruption at the wrong time could have disastrous results. His old butler interrupted him once. My first job was to scrape his entrails off the walls.
Actually, you look like a corpse. I doubt your health could deteriorate much more.
There's no need to be rude.
Is that why that door is locked?
Yes, he takes his breaks at certain times, and only then is it safe to enter. Soon it will be time for his tea. I'm waiting for the 4th hour to bring it in.
Enough about your employer.
As you wish.
You're as interesting as a corpse. This conversation is over.
As you wish.
I'm done talking to this dead shithead. Let's check out this clock tower here. Oh, this is interesting. The rope hangs down from the clock's mechanism somewhere above the tower. A pointed metal hook is tied to the end. With both hands, you turn the crank and wind the rope around the drum until you see the hook. The drum locks when the rope has been drawn entirely up. You hang the bucket on the hook. The weight of the rocks pulls at the rope wrapped around the clock's drum. Slowly it begins to unwind. Turn the drum and move the clock's gears. You strain at the rusty dial for a few moments. Eventually you are able to advance the clock's hand to point just before the 4th mark. Time passes. You hear 4 distinct bongs of the clock's tower bell. The doors to either side of the clock face open, and an iron statue grinds inside along this rusty track. As soon as you pull the lever, the drum starts spinning uncontrollably. The rope gradually unwinds until it almost reaches the ground. This is a room of learning, a few books and papers scattered on across every surface. But there's room for much more. Time passes and the dead butler jerks into motion and shuffles out the double doors, closing them behind him. And we start stealing shit. Uh-oh. It is book reading time. Welcome, folks. It's Reading Rainbow with your host, the Game Hoarder. I record these notes in no particular order, with no particular format. Should this text be read by others than myself, I can but apologize in my advance. My name is Balthazar, and I am the king's personal necromancer. My duties include raising and maintaining the royal servants, though my deeper interests lie in the pursuit of other lost magical arts. The following notes comprise the results of the lifetime of research, and into those arts, as well as my personal musings on these and other matters. I've never considered the practice of necromancy to be a strong moral ground. We have established that in order to survive in this harsh world, the dead are required to serve the living. Their labor supports our existence, but we do truly know what we're doing. What exactly are we bringing back? And how are our tamperings affecting the rest of the wave? The dead never appear especially unhappy, merely confused, and in their own unfathomable minds they exist in a time previous to their deaths. They perform the duties which they performed in life. In fact, it's almost impossible impossible to teach the dead anything new. Their capacity to focus on unfamiliar tasks is minimal. A corpse can be given new orders, but in due course, depending on the nature of their particular specimen, it will inevitably revert to modes of behavior demonstrated in life. There is no harm done when the task that specimen performed in life has some application after death. But sometimes those tasks have little or no worth in our world, and yet the corpse, living mentally in its former reality, cannot be persuaded to abandon its behavior. Occasionally, the useful purpose can be for a useful purpose, but more often all we can do is ignore the corpse, which strikes me as a regrettable waste of manpower. Nevertheless, even the densest corpse can be used for the menial task, and this becomes their primary value. Corpses can be made to perform functions which the living cannot, or which would not perform. I can't recall a time when battles were waged by living soldiers. Why trouble ourselves when we have available so many have already fallen? The insensitivity to pain allows them to sustain blows that would cripple a living soldier. The dead don't stop until they can no longer move. In addition, corpses can be induced to undertake all potentially harmful tasks, such as fending off attacks from would-be predators. Claws and poison stings are fearful only to those who are aware of consequences. Personally, I feel that we should be focusing our magic on keeping ourselves alive, rather than on resurrecting ourselves from death. With the plague more rampant than ever, we are fighting a losing battle. Even now, the dead outnumber the living. Holy shit! And here's some entries on possession. And of course, you learn the spell. Using this as a base, I experimented by adding variations of runes onto the end. The process was long and tedious, but as it happens, only one rune was needed to finish an altered spell. The diagram of the new spell is as follows. Budaka! The result was the possession spell. Testing it proved somewhat difficult. One can only be cast on one's soul into a lower life form, such as Pokos that we use as beast of burden. One must have physical contact with the target. The soul transfers through touch, so spell cannot be cast over a distance. While one is inhabiting the possessed body, the original body is rendered immobile and helpless. I have some theories regarding the dynamics of this spell. If the original body is for some reason destroyed, the soul can be capable of continued existence in the new body. Eventually, however, that soul will forget its previous existence, come to think of, behave in accordance with the inclinations of the possessed body. But even then, the original soul should prove retrievable by application of certain spells. And also, looks like we have the Unravel Illusion spell. And of Exodus. You want to read all this? Play the game yourself. You've learned two spells. We have learned the spell of possession and the spell of ward. That's it for this video. We're going to wrap it up, B. See you in the next segment.